Today's sermon and topic is called God's Pharmacy. Now, we've had pandemics and all sorts of things lately, and of course, illness is on the rise. And predictions would have it that we're going to be entering in, like a second phase of this pandemic. I don't know where all this is going to end, but it'd be nice that we didn't have to live through all this, but we do. We live on this earth, and as we talked about this morning in our Sabbath school lesson, we have a Job experience, each and every one of us. And one of this Job experience came a few years back. A very, very good friend of mine, his name was Bernard Court. We were young, we were playing touch football. He was a major member of our team. We had two teams, we had the B team and the A team, and often Bernard would play in both teams, the B division and the A division. Why? Because he was one of those guys that was very good at a heptathlon. Do you know what a heptathlon is? That's where you run so many kilometres, then you get on a bike and drive so many kilometres, and then you swim for so many kilometres. And he used to do these heptathlon. He was extremely fit. He loved life. He had a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful children. He was a valued member of our team because if ever there was a tiredness going on, we'd bring Bernard on and he'd really spark some energy into the team. And we won this particular year, the competition, and of course we had to have a barbecue and celebrations and everything. And I told Tash that there's a barbecue on, and we traditionally would bring our own meat because, we bring our vegetarian sausages and mung beans and all that goes with a vegetarian diet. And I'd get to the barbecue and the meat was happening and all the things, and Bernard would give me a lot of flack, oh, here comes the carrot muncher again and all this kind of talk. We've all heard it. We've all been to these functions where we're the one out, And Bernard and I had a bit of banter going, and as blokes do, and I said to Bernard, you're going to, it'll be the death of you, that meat. Anyway, the next year, he got cancer of the bowel, and unfortunately, we lost Bernard. And I believe that there's not a person in this room that can't get up here and tell a story like that. And it's real, it's with us. And this topic today it's one that certainly would rustle some feathers, and I apologise as a disclaimer that I'm not a doctor. I don't have the answers for everything, and I'm up here giving a talk about food and health and all of that. I'm a builder. But guess what? 2,000 years ago there was a man that walked this earth, and he also gave us counsel. And we often don't listen to the counsel. And all I'm doing is repeating counsel that we've been given. And the reason, so the children looked at the animals and are fascinated with animals, but I believe there's an elephant in this room. We can't see it, but it's here. We sometimes know it, but we don't want to recognise it. And by the end of the talk, I hope that everyone here is able to see the elephant in this room. So if we go back to the Genesis, to the beginning of the story, God, of course, addressed the devil and told him what was going to happen with him, and of course we have a saviour coming from there. In Genesis chapter 3 and in verse 17, God addresses Adam and he says, "Because thou hast hearkened to the voice of your wife." It's not a bad thing to listen to your wife, I can testify to that. But Adam listened to his wife this particular time. And he hearkened to the voice of his wife, and has eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed, sorry, my eyes. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of your life. There are thorns, so Adam was to have sorrow all the days of his life, and to eat from the ground. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth unto thee, and thou shalt eat the herbs of the field. So the herbs of the field was what Adam was to now eat after sin. And the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return to the ground, for out of the ground thou wast taken, and from dust thou art, unto dust you shall return. So we are to eat from the ground. And there's real counsel in that. And under a microscope, we are dust. There's nothing surer. We're all going to be returned to the ground. But from the ground, we have a source of vitamins and minerals, don't we? This is elementary. We all know this. However, we have a problem, because whilst Adam was told that he was to eat of the ground, of the food of the ground, we have enormous amount of ill health today. And I believe that by tilling the ground, by working outside, we have the 8 laws of health right there. You think about it. We're outside in the fresh air. What are all the 8 laws of health? Think about it. Sunshine. You've got the water. When you sweat, what do you feel like doing? You want to drink water. Every farmer knows that you've got to put your trust in God, because there's the beetle, there's the magpies eating your fruit, there's everything else going on. The trust in God is paramount for a farmer. What else is going on? You've got your vitamins and minerals. The whole of the 8 laws are there at that point. And Adam was instructed to use those 8 laws of health. The controlling powers of appetite will prove the ruin of thousands. Then, if they had conquered on this point, that is, their appetite, they would have had moral powers to gain the victory over other temptations of Satan. But those who are slaves to appetite will fail in perfecting Christian character. So if we fail on the appetite, does it affect our moral character? Who believes that? I know that is a fact, because I know what it's like to eat meat. I was very much into eating meat before I became a vegetarian, obviously. And I know what I was like before. We only have to look at the animal kingdom. The aggressive ones are the ones that eat meat. The ones that are quick to die are meat eating. I walked along the beach not so long ago, and I saw a man full of skin cancer. It was one of the saddest sights I've ever seen. He was hurting, obviously, and he was trying to get relief from being at the ocean, bathing his wounds. I asked him, how is he going and all of that. We got to know one another, and I asked a little question. I was prompting an answer, and he said, yes, I love my pork, you know. And, you know, Leviticus chapter 11, we all are aware of Leviticus chapter 11. God says not even to touch it, you know. And at the first time I read that, because I used to love my pork, the first time I read that, I thought to myself, why would God say don't even touch it? Because there's a lot of things wrong with it. And he didn't have to explain all those things. He just says, don't eat it, don't even touch it. And whose God is their belly, God says in New Testament times. We all know these verses. How many of us have not controlled our appetite over the years? I would have to be the most offender here. I had a double chin at the age of 12. Loved my ice cream. I loved my, no one here in this room loves a Devonshire tea like I do. So we all are at fault. And God says in 3 John 1 verse 2, it says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. So there's a connection between health and your soul. And everybody knows if you get sick enough, you'll die. And that's what's happening. Unfortunately, we're all living this world. And there's a transgression of the physical law, and it also is a transgression of the moral law. The physical and moral are one and the same. The health message and the moral message, and the other message was the three angels' message. The health message is the right hand to the three angels' message. The human being who is careless and reckless of habits and practices that concern the physical life and health sins against God. Many who profess to love Jesus do not show proper reverence and respect to him who gave his life to save us from eternal death. And that's so true. We know that we come from God, and we know our body doesn't belong to us, it belongs to him. We should do the very best we possibly can while we're on this earth to maintain the body that belongs to God. The Creator of man has arranged the living machinery of our body. Every function is wonderfully and wisely made. And God pledged himself to keep this human machinery in a healthful action of the human agent will obey his laws and cooperate with God. Every law governing the human machinery is to be considered just as truly divine in origin, in character, and in importance as the Word of God. By disregarding it is violating God's law. Counsels on diet and food. We can go on. But every mother has told her children to eat the vegetables that are on your plate. Hands up those who have been told that. All the children here know. Eat your veggies. Science is now finding out why we've got to eat our veggies. It turns out that fruit and vegetables are loaded with compounds called phytochemicals and antioxidants. These substances possess powerful protective health benefits. God's pharmacy. What are phytochemicals and what are vitamins and minerals? Actually, phyto comes from the Latin word plant. So phytochemicals are protective chemicals found only in plants. You don't find them in meat. Which plants particularly? Well, all plants. Fruit and vegetables, beans, grains, seeds and nuts, every herb have thousands of phytochemicals. So if you're eating fruit and vegetables, you're on the right path. Antioxidants, like phytochemicals, are also natural chemicals found in food, though not limited to plant foods. So these antioxidants are compounds that prevent or repair damage to cells caused by highly reactive substance called free radicals. Who knows about free radicals? That's damaged cells, basically damaged cells. What are the results of free radicals? Well, you can get cancer, you can get heart disease, premature ageing, cataracts, and other diseases, many other diseases. In fact, they're known to play a role in numerous diseases. Certain lifestyle habits, such as eating high fat, smoking, drinking alcohol, promote more rapid and intensive cell damage. These free radicals are in all of us. They're aging us, they're making us sick. The rich sources of these natural chemicals defend unrefined plant foods. Whether it's fruit, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, studies after study continue to reveal the protective benefits of a plant-based diet. It's been said that God first separated... Missed that slide. Many fruits and vegetables do look like certain parts of our body. Sister White says, if people only knew the value of the products of these in the ground, which the earth brings forth in their season, more diligent efforts would be made to cultivate the soil. So if we knew how valuable the food was, we would all be tilling the ground. All should be acquainted with the special values of fruit and vegetables found in our orchards and in our gardens. Hands up those that have got a garden and an orchard going. Yeah. It's not going too well in the dead of winter up in Cathcart, but I hope it springs back. So, a carrot gets its orange colour from a plant chemical called beta-carotene, which reduces the risk of developing cataracts. The chemicals also protect against macular degeneration, an age-related sight problem that affects 1 in 4 individuals over the age of 65. Well, I'm under the age of 65, and I think the next Bible I'm going to get is going to be in Braille, because I'm having a real hard time reading this. If one tries to pop a pill of beta-carotene, it doesn't have the same effect as a carrot. So you can take all the pills you like, and a carrot is the best thing. Why? Because it comes from God, and God made us, and He knows what's best for us. A tomato has up to 4 chambers and is commonly red in colour. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene and help prevent heart disease, prostate cancer, breast and more. Tomato juice can also reduce the tendency towards blood clotting. Just a common tomato. Grapes hang in a cluster that resemble the shape of a heart. The stronger the colour of the grape is, the higher the concentrate of phytonutrients. Grapes prevent heart disease and reduce platelets, clumping and harmful blood clots. Isn't that remarkable? And I find it incredible how the colour resembles the body part, because you not only have the dark grapes, you have the light grapes as well. And what do we have? White and red blood cells, don't we? Don't you think God's amazing? I think it's incredible. Grapes also resemble the alveoli of the lungs. The lungs are made of branches of every small airway that finish up with tiny branches of tissue called alveoli. These structures allow oxygen to pass from the lungs to the bloodstream. A diet high in fresh grapes has been shown to reduce the risk of lung cancer and emphysema, lung disease. Grape seeds also contain a chemical called can't pronounce it. I can't. Sorry? That's it. What did you say? Yeah, it's a long word. Which is thought to reduce the severity of asthma and triggered by allergies, that are triggered by allergies. So God has got an answer to all our problems in the garden. Walnuts, I find this amazing, and I took some last night because I needed them for today. Walnuts resemble the brain, mimicking the wrinkles and folds of the neurocortex. Research suggests that nuts may reduce the risk of delayed onset of Alzheimer's disease. The high concentration of omega-3 fats in walnuts promote healthy brain function. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Even down to the colour. A walnut looks like a little brain, and it's actually in a nut, which would resemble your head, wouldn't it? I don't want anyone to crack my head open just to find out if it looks like a walnut, please. A left and right hemisphere, upper cerebrums and lower cerebellums. Even the wrinkles and the folds, the nuts are similar to those of the neurocortex. Science claims that walnuts help in developing over 3 dozen neurotransmitters within the brain, enhancing the signalling and the encouraging new messaging links between the brain cells. Fantastic. Walnuts help ward off dementia. They also extract and break down the protein-based plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease, according to a study of the university, blah, blah, blah. Wonderful, wonderful things found in God's garden. And you know something? We're made up of matter, water, and electricity. And I was talking to management at Cedar Vale. Who knows about Cedar Vale up in the Kangaroo Valley? Those guys up there do amazing things. People literally bring them back from the dead. And, you know, there was a woman up there who had so low in energy. She had no energy. And I often wonder, Natasha's often astounded at the energy that I have. I go to work hard, then I come home and I work. And I often wonder why I've got so much energy. But I know where it's coming from because I do a lot of digging. And do you know that that the whole Earth is a magnetic field, and we have electricity throwing. What do you think makes our heart pump and our brain function? It's electricity. We need electricity. We need to replenish that electricity. That's why we need rest. That's one of the 8 laws of health, rest. So we need electricity. And we dig in the ground, which we're told to do way back in Genesis, and we get energy from the ground. This lady had no energy. And you know what they asked her to do? To take her shoes off and just walk on the ground and earth yourself. So if you're low in energy and you want your brain to function a little more, take your shoes off and walk on the ground or dig in the ground, do some gardening, and you will get energy. I can testify that 1,000,000 times over. Celery. How much are we needing celery and bok choy and these type of products in the garden? Because we're aging and our bones are becoming brittle and we're getting arthritis and we're getting this thing and that thing. Well, these foods specifically target bone strength. Bones are made up of 23% sodium, and these foods have sodium in them. If you don't have enough sodium in your diet, the body pulls it from the bones. So that's why you're getting brittle, because you're not getting enough nutrients in your body. So they become weak. These foods replenish the skeletal needs of our body. How important is it to eat our vegetables? Sweet potato resemble the pancreas. Go to the next slide. A sliced onion resembles skin cells and contain quercetin. Studies have shown when treated with a combination of quercetin and ultrasound for a 1 minute duration, the skin and prostate cancer show a 90% mortality within 48 hours with no visible mortality of normal cells. I'm not really sure what that's trying to say, but onions look like the body cells. Modern research shows that onions help clear waste material from all the cells of the body, even the tears that onions produce, when we're peeling onions, have a epithelial layer of the eyes get cleaned. So if you really want to take off these, maybe, we should be peeling onions and getting our eyes to let the onions do their thing. Kidney beans, why do you think the name kidney beans? It's because they're good for our kidneys. Avocados and pears are the shape of the female womb and female organs. Modern research show that when a woman eats one avocado a week, it balances the birth hormones. How about that? Sheds unwanted birth weight and can even prevent cervical cancer. It even takes actually 9 months to grow an avocado. Isn't that incredible? From the blossom to the ripened fruit. Just like the human baby, there are said to be over 1,400 phytolactic chemicals, constitutes and nutrition in each one of these foods. 1,400 benefits in the chemical structure of just one avocado. Does God know what he's doing? What about ginger? Do you know that I eat a little bit of ginger quite regularly, and I have never been fitter and healthier in my life? I absolutely love ginger. I think it should be put in all our food. So, when you look closely at broccoli, you see tiny little green broccoli coming up. It's not happening. Broccoli is an anti-cancer food. If you're worried about cancer, just eat plenty of broccoli. All the stats are here. I'm not going to read them out. The team of researchers and they just rave on about broccoli is called the anti-cancer food. So, what benefits can we expect by eating fruit and vegetables? Every benefit. It can help in all our diseases. I'm not going to rattle them all off. You know what they are. We're either experiencing them right now, or we're going to experience them, or we know someone who has experienced it. I have a brother, my younger brother Paul. He's a great guy, love him to bits, and he is really, really battling with prostate cancer, high blood pressure, and you name it, he's got it all. But you know what? There's only one answer in my opinion, and in God's opinion, there's definitely only one answer to our unhealthy state, and that is to do it God's way. Go to God's garden and get into it, because it is the pharmaceutical place to go. So in treating the sick, the physicians will seek God for wisdom. Then indeed, instead of placing his dependence upon drugs and expecting that medicine will bring health to the patient, he will use nature's restorative powers and employ natural means whereby the sick may be aided to recover. So we don't cure. No man is out there curing. God does the curing, but we aid God by placing us in a healthy situation where we can be healthy through God. So, but drugs are often paralysing to our health. The feeble and suffering ones must be educated line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, until they will have respect for and live in obedience to the law that God has made to control the human organism. Those who sin against knowledge and light and resort to the skill of the physician in administering drugs will be constantly losing their hold on life. The less there is of drug dosing, the more favourable will their recovery to health. Drugs in the place of helping nature are constantly paralysing her efforts. That's found in medical ministry books. It's unfortunate that we have to read this, and I know that it confronts us when we read these words. But you know what? The elephant in the room is this, that we know the story of the Israelites. It took them 40 years to get to somewhere it should have taken a couple of weeks. And you know, we're really, really slow to learn. And you know, we've got these writings, these words in our books that are on our shelves. Our church is founded on health. We're told what to do, that we should be the healthiest church on the planet. But you know, the fact of the matter is that we're not. Who knows the book, The China Study? Who's ever read The China Study? So, in the beginning, God advised man as to which foods we were designed to keep our bodies in the best health. So God told us what to do. But in the studies involving Adventists, and Adventists have been a study down through the years, and the China Study is the book that's done the longest study of any not denomination, because we're a church denomination, of any type of people. Okay, we are a study to the rest of the world. The China Study, look it up if you don't already know. I can't tell you what page I found this on, but in dietary studies involving Adventists, this is what the book says. Science compare moderate vegetarians to moderate meat eaters. Okay, so the meat eaters are compared to vegetarians in this book. Okay, this is not a big difference. Even so, the Adventist vegetarians are much healthier than their meat-eating counterparts. In other words, in amongst our group we have meat-eating Adventists and vegetarian Adventists. And the vegetarian Adventists are much healthier than the meat-eating counterparts. You get that? Those Adventists which deprive themselves of meat also deprive themselves of the ravages of diabetes. So diabetes is eliminated from a vegetarian diet. Compared to the meat eaters, the vegetarians had about half the rate of diabetes. They also had half the rate of obesity. So that's in the book, The China Study. In the beginning, God advised man as to which foods we were designed to eat. And yet, we continue to go down the shops and buy literally rubbish. I'm not a doctor. I'm a builder. I don't know. I can't read these fancy words. I don't really know what a lot of these big long words really mean. But I do know one thing, that the elephant in this room is that God loves us. He's always loved us from the beginning. He's given us counsel. We're to till the ground and eat from the ground to combat the sin problem that's in this world. And unfortunately, we don't do it. And I'm talking about myself. We've got problems in the shops, and I haven't even scratched the surface of this topic. It's huge. The health topic is just huge. The interesting thing that I find about what God says, and you go to the end of the book, I don't believe that we'll be eating vegetables in heaven. Maybe I'm wrong, but it says 12 fruits on that tree. It doesn't say fruit and vegetables. So, whilst we're on earth and there's sin going on, it would do us really, really well. And just like the whole thing about the pork thing, I don't know why God says to eat vegetables and not eat pork, but there's really, really good reason. He has his reasons, and I urge you as a church, as a people, to think about what we put in our body because it belongs to God, and what we should do in the realm of health, and perhaps promote health for others, such as people even relatives. And anyway, God help us to this end. And we'll have the closing hymn.